Welcome everybody to the Genesis Project Podcast. Business principles for beginners from the School of Hard Knocks. They say that success leaves clues. In this podcast, we're going to discover the clues that it leaves behind, and we're going to start at the very beginning. We'll get into the weeds of how the guests of the show came up with their business ideas, the why behind their business ideas, how they dealt with setbacks and failures, what keeps them pushing forward, and the emotions behind it all. Everyone wants to start a business, but many are held back by something that keeps them from starting. We'll learn what it takes to get to the next level of business and beyond, and we're learning together through different principles of people who graduated from the School of Hard Knocks. So, grab you a pen, some paper, and a highlighter to take notes, because class is in session. Hey, what's up, class? This is the Chancellor Bernard Gleaton. Now, I just want to take a quick minute just to stop by and let you guys know that you need to subscribe, rate, comment, and share so that everyone who wants to become an entrepreneur or who wants to level up as an entrepreneur can get this lesson. Also, make sure that you jump on my email list and my Facebook group for exclusive content. Come on and mix and mingle with my community with other entrepreneurs and create something great. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the classroom and see what our next lesson is with our new guest professor. I will see you guys in the classroom. Welcome everybody to the School of Hard Knocks. I am the Chancellor Bernard Gleaton, and this is the Genesis Project Podcast. Business principles for beginners from the School of Hard Knocks. Now, if this is your first time ever seeing our show, ever listening to our show, just want to let you know that this is the best place for you if you are a brand new business owner or you even thinking about into the entrepreneurship pool, because we bring people on who talks about, who gives you the nuggets, who gives you that sauce, that secret ingredient for you to be successful. And how they do that is by giving you their success principles. So everybody that I'm bringing onto the show has reached some level of success, and they are willing to share that information with you in order for you to be successful as well. So with that being said, I want you to get ready for my next guest professor here. I reached out to this brother because I realized that I don't have enough people talking about sales. And even though people who I've had come onto the show to talk about sales, I don't think they dug into it deeply as far as sales, right? So I reached out to this brother, me and him chatted. I think he's a great teacher, that he's going to get you to understand the true sales process. So let's say you are a brand new entrepreneur, you just started a business. Let's say you're selling some products on Instagram or Facebook, or let's say Amazon, right? We all need some type of sales system for us to start converting sales, right? So if you're brand new into online sales and you're selling a product, my guy here is going to be able to give you some type of process, some type of strategy in you for you to start making sales. So with that being said, let me go ahead and invite into the classroom our guest professor who's going to be teaching a lesson on sales today. He goes by the name of guest professor Mark Smith. So guest professor Mark, say what's up to the class.
What's up, class?
Man, I'm glad you accepted my invite here. I'm pretty excited about what you're going to bring to the School of Hard Knocks, as well as what you're going to be bringing into the future of the School of Hard Knocks a little later. And class, you will find out a little bit more about that as the time comes. But trust me when I tell you, this brother is going to be hitting you with all types of sauce, all types of nuggets. So make sure you guys take notes and just take awesome notes. That's just it. Just get ready. Your hands probably going to be hurting by the end of this, but it's okay. It's for a good cause, right? So, guest professor Mark, I want you to go ahead and tell the class just a little bit about you. Just give us a quick bio on you.
Sure. Yeah, so my background. So I've been in sales most of my life. So I've done high ticket sales. I continue to do high ticket sales. I've done over 23 years of high ticket sales. Malcolm Gladwell says it best that if you want to master a skill, you got to practice it for 10,000 hours. I've actually practiced the art of sales for 128,000 hours. And through that have amassed close to $84 million in sales. And by the end of 2021, I'm on forecasting to hit that $100 million threshold in terms of the level of sales. My background is, I'm out in Canada. I was born and raised out in Western Canada. I did move out to Chicago. I lived in the Chicago area for 6 years and then ended up moving back here. My business now, so before I was really focused, I was actually dialed into medical device sales. So critical care, we were doing ICU ventilators and all those other things you see with COVID now. And now it's solely focused on real estate investing. So that gives you some background information on where I'm at right now.
Awesome. Awesome. So I forgot to mention to you before I hit the record button that my wife and I, we love ketchup chips. So might have to lean on you to get some ketchup chips set our way. You know what I
No
mean?
problem, man. No problem at all.
And for all of my American friends, ketchup chips is I don't know. I might be wrong in saying this, but ketchup chips is probably a staple to Canada, right?
Yeah, there's some things. It's interesting. There's things that you can get here you can't get down south, but down south in the States, I mean that's what I miss about being in Chicago, man. You had choices.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. And ketchup chips, and again, to all my American friends, ketchup chips don't sound as bad as you think it is. It's not. It's actually pretty good. I mean, there's different brands and everything like that, but overall, every brand of ketchup chip I had has been pretty good.
Good. Love it, man. Love it.
So the way I like to start off all of my shows is by asking you, my guest professor Mark, what is your Genesis moment? And for all of you guys who are brand new to the School of Hard Knocks, let me explain to you what the Genesis moment is. The Genesis moment is when you come into a fork into your road, and you can go right, you can go left. It don't have to be good, don't have to be bad, but you can see what your life could be like beyond those first steps. So, for example, a good example of a Genesis moment for me is starting the show. That's a Genesis moment. Me getting married, that's another Genesis moment. And me trying out for the CFL 4 years removed from high school and never played it down in college. That is a Genesis moment for me. So, with that being said, guest Professor Mark, what is your Genesis moment?
Man, I love that question. And I'll tell you why I love that question. I go by the 7-2 mindset investor. The 7-2 is the worst possible hand you can get in poker. See, when you play a game of poker, you're given a choice. You can fold that hand, but in life, you can't fold. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't control the hand you're dealt, but you can control how you play that hand. And so the Genesis moment or the 7-2 moment for me was the weakest, I get the lowest point of my life, which is when I hit rock bottom. And I'm sure we'll talk more about that. And that's when I rose from the ashes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh yeah, we definitely gonna have to dig into that. Definitely. So, with that being said, we're about to dig into it right now. So, what I want to know is, how did you get your start into entrepreneurship? Did it have anything to do with you hitting your rock bottom?
Yeah, I did actually. Man, I've actually written a book. I've been interviewed by many guests, many people so far. I run my own podcast. I don't even know where to start. Man, oh man. So maybe I'll just start. Maybe I'll give a quick insight of where I started and then essentially what happened and then how I had to come out of that.
Okay. Okay, let's do that.
So I was blessed. I started in the sales game at a very early age. So when I started in my early 20s, I think I was 21 years old. And really, it was a school of hard knocks, just like a show. I didn't go to school for sales, but I just did it. And the thing about sales isn't a skill set. A lot of people will come and they'll tell me, oh, I can't do sales. I'm not a salesperson. And I want to shake their head and just shake them and say, listen, you're a salesperson because you just convinced yourself you're not a salesperson. Sales is simply another way of communicating. That's it. Whether we look at the art of persuasion, we're persuading ourselves, persuading others. If you have a partner, you have a wife, it doesn't matter who. And if they're deciding where they get to go for dinner with you, they've just sold you on that. Or vice versa. If you get to decide to your partner saying, hey, I'm going to buy this bag of ketchup chips instead of that one, you just sold that fact. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it comes from. And so I started at a very early age in sales. And I didn't have a textbook and saying this is what sales is. I mean, and there's really two types of sales. You can look at the sales, which looks on the processes. You got to fill in your CRM. You got to fill in all those different things. And there's a skeleton diagram of how you have to do it. For me, I'm anti-paperwork. My unique ability is being in front of people and fostering relationships. What I did know is that all I had to do was be 1% better than my competition. Just 1%.
Yeah.
That's all. It's like you playing football. All you had to be when you had to be drafted, you had to be 1% better than the next person.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, that 1% could be 10x than a normal person, but the fact is you always have to push. And then more so in sales, you're only as good as your last sale. And you're always pushing on who you are, who yourself was, and what you've done through your sales. School of Hard Knocks of sales. My biggest wins in sales have been my losses in sales. It took me losing a $200,000 deal to reach up to $84 million in sales. Okay. And so through the sales journey, I did I did high ticket sales, and I started off in the medical device side. I was a local sales representative. I grew into a management role, covered half the country, and then I was offered a position to move down to Chicago, take the helm of our U.S. operation. So I was the national sales manager for our U.S. operation. From there, was the director of international business development and clinical application, to which I became the executive sales manager. And then I had all that, and those were all nice titles to have, but really at the end of the day, I was an empty, broken being on the inside, dealing with a lot of personal stuff. So on the outside, man, I was wearing $5,000 suits, bottles Cristal, big parties. We used to go to NFL games, sit in a box. It was just living life.
Yeah.
But I was an empty, broken being. I was the poorest mofo you can imagine in the inside, because I wasn't happy with myself, because I was pretending to be something I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened, man, is through that point, I went through a marital breakdown, went through a real nasty divorce, still ongoing. I think I've already spent close to about $200,000 on that divorce. From there, I share this very openly. I was very embarrassed about it before, but now I share it openly. I was thrown the atomic bomb of divorce cases, which is the allegations of domestic abuse. I spent the night behind bars. And through that time, I was the safest I ever was being behind those bars, because the whole world was inside of me. And there's a great book, and I highly recommend this book for all your listeners and viewers. It's by Dr. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. And the premise behind this book, you have a neuroscientist that lived through, I think it was 3 or 4 concentration camps. He saw his wife get killed, he saw his family get killed, and the guy kept on surviving. And he was able to then watch and witness and predict who was going to survive and who wasn't going to survive in these concentration camps. And to paraphrase the messaging behind this book in Man's Search for Meaning is that it's not this that defines you, it's how you choose to respond to that defines you. So for example, your Genesis moment. Is it the Genesis moment that defines you, or how you choose to respond to that moment that defines you? So from there, I mean, I hit rock bottom, and I said, it can't get worse. I lost friends. I lost, you name it, man. I lost a lot of self-respect. I lost a lot of people in the community. And I remember in that rock bottom moment and just trying to find myself, man, it was a sick feeling. And my new partner, Zara, she came home and she saw me on the sofa and had tears just coming down my face, and my dog's licking my face. And I said, I've lost everything I've ever built up with my net worth and this kind of stuff. And my ex-wife and their legal team, they got their fangs out and they smell blood and they want it. And I said, the only thing I know what we need to do to get out of this is we have to get into real estate investing, because more millionaires are made out of real estate investing. So I wasn't even thinking about the millionaire status. I was just thinking in terms of survival. We need launching pad very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So we got into the whole real estate side. So that's when the entrepreneurial spirit kicked in, because as a sales rep, it's almost like you're representing the business, but you're still working for someone. They're telling you when to sleep. They're telling you, I define working for someone else. It's like being in security prison. They tell you when you can go play. They can tell you when you can go eat. They can tell you how much sick time you can have. But they come and they say, oh, but here's your bonus at the end of the year. Okay, good behavior. And then it repeats itself and it repeats itself, repeats itself. And it gets to a point where you can't get out. It's too hard to get out. You're in too deep.
Mm-hmm.
So through this journey, I started getting into real estate investing, and I ended up purchasing 4 properties within 8 months. A lot of people say how I did it. I have no clue how I did it, because I was working all day, and then I would come home to eat, and then from there I'd go sleep on drywall to help do these rentals. I didn't know any better. I was still a broken man. During that time, I called myself a real estate investor, and you can see this in my in the background, says 7-2 real estate investor. I actually went through a transition, and I stopped calling myself the real estate investor. Instead, of calling myself the mindset investor. I made a pledge to myself in that I'm not going to, a lot of people will say they're going to invest $1 million into business, into entrepreneurship, and so forth. My friend, I said, I'm going to invest $1 million between my ears. I'm going to invest $1 million on my mindset. Because if my mindset is in check, I can weather any storm.
Mm-hmm.
I lived the high life of this mofo that lived it big, man. I lived in Naperville, just out of Chicago. I had a 4,000 square foot home, man. Lived the high life, man. But I had nothing to show for it in the end. I was a broken man. And it wasn't because of everything else. It's that my brain, my mindset was totally messed up. And so I went hard at entrepreneurship with respect to focusing on my mindset first. And what I could tell you is that with that shift in entrepreneurship, I went from reading 1 book a year, which was for my old company I used to work for, like an instruction manual, to last year I read 55 books. I joined 4 masterminds. I wrote a book. I have a podcast. I have a YouTube. I mean, my YouTube channel, I actually had one of the guests from The Secret that was a professor on a Netflix. So once you tap into that mindset and that potential, anything is possible. So what I can tell anybody that's thinking of entrepreneurship or sales or whatever you want to do, focus on the mindset first. Because at the end of the day, you are the asset. You are the prize. It's not the product. You are the asset. You are the product. It's whether I'm selling this glass as a broken individual, or I'm selling this glass of water right here, same glass of water. People invest in you, not that glass of water. You have to bring that value. And at the end of the day, people want what they can't have. Mm-hmm. Anybody can get those glass of water, but they want to invest in you because of you.
Are you tired of being bogged down by HR tasks? Well, it was Gusto to the rescue. Their HR software is like a superhero for small business owners. It helps you manage payroll, benefits, and HR compliance with ease. Plus, it's so simple to use, even a penguin can figure it out. Not that penguins are known for their business savvy, but they are pretty smart birds. So why wait? Give Gusto a try and watch your HR tasks melt away like ice cream on a hot summer day. Check it out at our resource page at genesisprojectpodcast.com/resources. Now, I think that's the perfect segue when you get to talking about mindset and everything like that, because I do want to ask you, how important is mindset? And I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but come on, man, we got to go deeper. We got to unpack this.
Mindset is everything, man. In fact, inside my cap here, I'll send you one, man. It says mindset is everything.
Awesome. I'll take that.
There we go. Mindset is everything. It is unbelievable how many people I speak to on a daily basis, and I'm flat out blunt with them. I'm like, so for example, if I have an apartment building and they're like, oh man, there's whatever, I'm like, They'll walk away from a property because there's a foundation crack. Yet they're complaining that people don't want to invest with them. And I'm like, it's because you have a foundation crack between your ears. I have a golden rule with people. If they don't invest in themselves, I don't invest in them because they're lacking their own confidence.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it comes down to. Marketing is another example. I tell people straight up, like I spend close to $100,000 on my marketing a year. And people say, where's that money come from? I go, I don't know where it comes from, but I have that confidence in me that I can, if I spend $100,000 on marketing and I make $101,000, I make $1,000 on it, it's a good deal. Okay? It's profit, right?
Yeah.
So I tell people it all comes down to confidence. And I see a lot of people that refuse to spend money on themselves. And that comes down to is the level of confidence. That's it.
I coming from a athletic background, right? I'm not much of a gambler, but I am a risk taker.
Yes.
Right? And I know that comes from my athletic background. If I see things in 50-50, I don't know, right? But if I get that 51% on my side, yeah, I'm looking at it like, okay, this might be a good deal, right? So that's why when I look at gambling at like the casinos or whatever else like that, for one, I know the house is going to always win. The odds is never in my favor, so I'm not going to go and do something like that. Versus, okay, what's the odds of me getting, I don't know, let's say Mark Zuckerberg on my podcast, right? The odds is still against me, but in my mind, the odds is still pretty good, right? If I could get him on the show, the stuff that he'll talk about, that's, to me, that's gold. That's all worth it. You know what I'm saying? And people, when I talk to people have the hard time of understanding that type of process. And it's more so, what would I get out of it? You know what I'm saying? What can I get out of it, and how can I leverage it for other people or for whatever the situation may be? I mean, so I definitely understand where you're coming from. I definitely appreciate that. Now, you spoke on sales, and I know this is pretty much a sales lesson. So I wanted to go off into sales, right? Now that we understand the importance of a mindset, right? Knowing that you have to have some type of confidence as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and things of that nature, I want to talk about some systems. I know you're not much of a papers guy, right? But you gotta have some type of systems in place in order for you to start making sales, right? So I want you to tell us about a sales system that we can start using and implementing into our own businesses, and entrepreneurship, and all that type of stuff to start creating sales.
Good question. Yeah, there's really two schools of thoughts with that. And so what I'm going to be talking about is the initial touch point, because that's going to be key.
Okay.
So whether you're going to do, so you have your marketing arm, which is their focus is lead generation. Okay. So you get your marketing arm, it's their responsibility to get the leads coming in. Okay. That should how a business should be done. If you look at a business going across the board, I mean, you have your integrator, your CEO, you got your visionary at the top, and then you have your ops, you have your financing individual, you have your marketing, and then you got your sales. Okay. So you're going to have your offense and your defense if we're going to go to football. Okay.
Let's do it. I love it.
Okay. So you got your marketing, and they're basically they're going to throw it out there and so forth. As leads come in, that's when the sales starts. Actually, I'm lying there. The sales already starts on the marketing side, because what you need to do is you need to be selling something, a messaging system that hooks them. Okay. Then you have to bring them in. The most important skill in sales is listening. Empathy is critical from a marketing standpoint, and marketing has become lost because you look at these major marketing and ad companies, everything's all pushed through technology. So where's that empathy? So the empathy has to be brought in somewhere. And then sales, like I said, sales is simply communication. So let's walk through this. So you have, I'm going to talk about a warm lead versus a cold lead, okay?
Right on.
So a warm lead is going to be easier because now they've come to you. So the key thing now is what I find in the high ticket sales side is you have to set the frame. Okay. You have to set the frame when you speak to them and be intentional. They know you're a salesperson. So you don't have to go into it and try to build that rapport. There's a lot of old school thinking. Oh, yeah. I play golf too. No, get right to it. People know. So especially if they're coming to you first. So set the frame and basically let them know that, hey, you called me today. So we're going to see if you are a right fit for me, not the other way around. A lot of salespeople, they're going on the level of on the lower status versus the high status. So they sound very needy.
Mm-hmm.
The moment that someone senses that neediness, you've already blown your sale.
Mm.
Okay? So, for example, let's talk about football. You went to CFL. If you were there needy and saying, I got to make it, I mean, a lot of players, they get drafted based on their confidence level, not just their skill. It's their confidence. How are they going to handle the pressure?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's why you go through all the psychology aspects and all the interviews and so forth. And the reason I know that is that two people I know very closely, Tristan Black, who won 2 Grey Cups with the Toronto Argonauts and Saskatchewan Roughriders,
Mm-hmm.
and my buddy Leonard Samajus played with the Ottawa Roughnecks or Rough Riders. I can't remember now. Anyways, so small world. So, okay. So we're talking about the touch point. So now you have to set the frame. Now there's an acronym that I use, and that's from Oren Klaff's playbook. It's called STRONG. Okay. So the first thing is you want to set the frame. Okay. Set the frame. The second thing you want to do is you want to tell a story. 3, you want to reveal the intrigue. So STR. O is you're going to offer the deal, and is going to nail the hook point, and then G is going to be get the deal. So that framework has to be in place the whole time. But as you're doing that, the biggest mistake, like I said, sales people make is they do not listen. I've walked out of sales deals where I'm with the junior salesperson. I go, how did it go? Great, they're going to buy this, they're going to buy this. I'm like, ass. They didn't say a word. You were talking the whole time. You think you want this, but all you want to do is hear yourself talk the whole time. So if we're going to go to a process, here's the process. Ask straight up. You called me. Why did you call me? Let's get right to it. Well, it's because you had this ad on the internet. Okay, cool. Why did you call me? There's hundreds of ads out there. You have to get to their pain point. Once you identify what their pain point is, that's when you put the finger into it. It's like telling an alcoholic they got a drinking problem, you're going to get hit in the head. Unless they tell you, I got a drinking problem. Okay, now I can provide you a solution. Okay?
They have to be aware that they have an issue.
They have to be, not only do they have to, because they already know they have an issue. They have to come clean and say it, that they have an issue. They have to come clean and say, hey, I got a drinking problem. Okay? So it's all about the fundamentals. So you cannot provide a solution if they have not identified or come clean with the problem that they have. Once you have that, then that's when the game begins. Okay? So the sales system is going back to that, creating sales. So once you have that, your likelihood of closing has just increased substantially because now you know what their why is. If you do not know someone's why, you will not sell. Okay. So you following so far? You're getting
I got you. No. Keep going. I got my focus on.
Cool. And then what I do is I'll tell my customers, I'll say, listen, do you mind if I take notes? I don't have to take notes, but I like to take notes. And there's a reason why. Then the customer then feels right away, they drop their guard a bit and saying, this person's listening to me. Because I've had many other salespeople in here tell me what I need, but not listening to what I really take notes. And then at the end of the meeting, or before you move on to the next pitch, so to speak, you say, let me get this straight. I want to make sure I have this correctly. This is what you want. This is what you want. Is this correct? So again, stay in agreement. And then at one point you have to say, well, this makes sense. we do have a solution that would provide this for you, but unfortunately, I don't think you're the right fit for this. And you're probably wondering, why would I say that?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is there a play there?
Always. People want what they can't have.
FOMO. FOMO.
It is. So you got to play on the emotional side. Sales is purely emotional. There's no, like, every sales call I've been on, and I've been on thousands and thousands, there's no cookie cutter approach. So you got to play on emotion. And I'm saying play, no one wants to be played. It's not what I'm talking about, but I look at it as simple as a game. So there's going to be this tension. There's going to be a push and pull. There's always two types of hormones that are going through our body during this process, or not hormones, but just chemical release. Okay. We're going to have a dopamine release, which is going to be the release of pleasure and care and being comfort. And norepinephrine comes into play with respect to fight or flight. So what you do is, hey, I appreciate this, but you're not the right fit for us. Or this is not the right product for you. What happens? Their norepinephrine kicks in and you got their attention. But I can see where we can work on you with this, and then you get that love back. So you have to, rule two in sales. Rule one's listening, rule two in sales. If you let them feel in control, you're really in control.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm sure this is like, wow, I never thought we'd be talking this level. And like you could see, but I really focus on the whole behavioral aspect of sales, because when I was in my early 20s and learning School of Hard Knocks, I would get recommendations, read this book or go to this course. And you get this white binder and basically tell you this is what sales is. That's like going to YouTube and watching a YouTube video saying, hey, teach me how to sell.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be in the trenches. It's like, hey, anybody can go on YouTube. I mean, there's enough information for people to get six-pack abs. How many people have six-pack abs? It's all on YouTube.
Yeah.
All the information is out there to be a billionaire on YouTube. How many people are billionaires? You got to be in the trenches.
Are you tired of drowning in a sea of receipts and invoices? Well, it's QuickBooks to the rescue. Their accounting software is like a life raft for small business owners. It helps you stay organized, track your finances, and helps you make smart business decisions. Plus, it's so easy to use, even a sloth can learn it. Not that we're calling you slow, but you know, sloths are notoriously chill. So why wait? Give QuickBooks a try and start selling smoothly through the world of business. Check it out at our resource page at genesisprojectpodcast.com/resources.
You some of the things you just mentioned there. I'm currently reading a book called Atomic Habits.
Great book.
Right? Awesome book. What are the things that literally blew my mind? Now, I couldn't get beyond this point. I kept reading the book, but I couldn't get beyond this one point that he made in the book, which is the goals, right? Don't make your goals purposeful. Give your goals a identity, because if you give your goals a identity, then you have something to look forward to. Then it's all about the journey instead of the end result. Whereas if you look at it as just as a purpose goal, right? If you have the goal of climbing Mount Everest, once you climb it, then what, right? But he said, give it a identity, right? And one of the other things that really hit hard would be from that book was just pretty much what you said, exactly what you said. So, man, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. I do appreciate you for diving in deep with that.
And I wish I could. Sales is simple, right? It really is. If you could just go in being empathetic and listening, you'll be anybody will be very successful. But you have to execute on that. There's a lot of people I know that get really caught up on the CRM and all that stuff. Yeah, you need to have your follow up. Follow up is critical, but you can't even get to that point if you're not understanding. Follow up is meaningless if you don't know someone's why, because you can't pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I sent you that code on that. Where are you at?" Versus, hey, last time I was with you, we talked about you have that big hole in your roof. What's been happening there, and you're not sleeping at night. Like, how are you sleeping now? Is things better now? You have to get to that, because that is what's most important for them. What's important, most important for you is a sale. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about what we want. It's about what they want and what they need.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know you again. I know you talked about it a little bit. As far as the mindset, right? The mindset really affects how you get the sale. Am I safe in that?
100%, man. 100%.
Okay, okay. Let's dig into that a little bit deeper. Why? Where I know I have how, but why does the mindset affect sales?
Good question. So let's flip it a bit here, right? So I'm selling to you, and if I'm at a total loss, I'm not with it. You can just tell this dude is a. I've seen it before. How many people you look at? They're a train wreck when they knock on your door. You're a train wreck. You're like, hell no, I'm not giving this guy nothing. In fact, I think I should be calling some help for this guy, right?
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
not, because these are all connected. Someone's health is going to ultimately, if someone's significantly overweight, it's because they quit already. They quit on something. There was this book, Personality Isn't Permanent, by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. I'm going to have him on my podcast soon. This is nuts, man. He says people that end up going to prison, they're not bad people. They just quit somewhere along their journey.
Mm, mm,
They quit somewhere along their journey. That was it. So that's why mindset is so powerful. And I tell people all the time, like, if you go to McDonald's and you order 3 times a day, you're ordering a Big Mac meal, what's the trigger for that? You're looking for a release, that dopamine or whatever that release is for that short term.
yeah,
So there's
yeah.
obviously something for that. Mental health is such a major issue now, especially more than ever with COVID. People are at home. I mean, we're starting to see like just really bad stuff with people. The news, politics, it's all really bad stuff. So COVID-19 for me was the one. Another, you talk about a Genesis moment. That was one for us. I made a choice. I said, part of my expression here, I said to myself, either COVID's going to make me COVID's bitch, or I'm going to make COVID my bitch.
I freaking love it. I
And
freaking love it.
and so when all this came down in March, it was March 24th was my last day at work. A week before that, I was selling ICU ventilators to the government because we saw what was happening in Wuhan, China. Since that time, I've lost 30 pounds, read over 55 books, written a book. Like I was saying before, I've done all these things. So I was given a choice, man. I could look at it as, oh, I'm going to be stuck in. Oh, and I also canceled cable. I canceled cable. I'm not watching news. I don't know what the hell's happening out there.
Yeah.
So that's why mindset is so important. So why mindset? I wouldn't be in the position I am today, a year after that, if it wasn't for me going hard at my mindset. And the thing about mindset is the work's not done yet, because another great book is Linchpin by Seth Godin. And the way our brains are designed, we have these lizard brains, and there's this resistance that we're fighting every day. Because what we do as entrepreneurs, and we're outliers, we're freaks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are we doing what we're doing when we can just get a stable job? And that's where the biggest risk is when working for someone. It's a herd mentality. And our lizard brains are from 500 million years ago. Our bodies are designed to save energy. They're not designed to expend energy and think complex things. They're designed just to follow the herd and just do that thing. So why do I continue to push on my personal development? Why I continue to push on my mindset? Because it's too easy to go back to the old way. Think of a treadmill. You look at a treadmill. Is it easy getting on a treadmill, or is it easier sitting on the couch?
It's easy sitting on the couch.
So our brains are designed to save energy, save energy, save energy.
Yeah. I started the podcast back in February of last year.
Cool.
Released the episodes. A few weeks later, COVID happened. Right? In that time, and I've said this plenty of times before, COVID is a blessing in disguise for many people, right? Because we realize, man, I can't go to work today because of COVID, right? So unfortunately, that means lost jobs. lost lives because of healthcare and all that type of stuff, right? But this is that ultimate Genesis moment for a lot of us to realize, okay, something's going on here. I need to make a change here. I don't know what that change is, but I gotta make that change, right? And in the midst of COVID and everything, I from the first season all the way up to now where we recording this episode, I was able to start a podcast, start an email list. I created an online course. I wrote me an ebook. I've created a media company to put the podcast under, and now my media company is helping people to brand their businesses when it comes to creating websites for them and marketing their businesses when it comes to putting them on a podcast tour to market your business, which is a lot cheaper than Facebook ads, Google ads, and all of that stuff, right? So for me, it has been a tremendous blessing, and my timing, I guess some would say it was impeccable. I didn't know it at the time. I just knew I need to be doing this. And then when COVID came, it was more so like, oh man, COVID came, but it gave me so much more time for me to do this, listening to my listeners. Okay, I'm hearing this from my listeners. What do they need? They need this. Okay, so I'm going to create a course teaching them this, the thing that they need, right? And so everything that you said, it hits home with me because that is exactly what I've done. And I feel that people, where I used to work at, we used to work at a Japanese company, right? And we had a lot of engineering interns and things of that nature. And with my background being in IT, I had to deal with the engineers a lot because I had to set up their computers and get them the right equipment and all that type of stuff. I used to tell those interns all the time, hey, pay attention, because you're in this field, you're able to see what's coming down the pipe. Pay attention to the landscape, because you're able to shift when you need to shift, where people outside of this field don't know what's going on, right? So for example, the people who back in the day before Google was about to go public, right? You had a lot of those people who was in that field say, man, you need to put your money in on Google, telling their friends, telling their family, hey, you got to put your money in on Google. This thing is about to take off, right? And they looked at him and was like, I'm not messing with that. I'm not messing with that. What is Google? Google is not even a real word, right? And what happened? Google took off. So now those same friends and family is looking at those guys like, hey man, can I still get on Google? Hey man, it's too late now. Because they was in the field. They was able to pay attention to the landscape and see what was coming down the pipe. Oh man, just awesome stuff. So let me ask you this. What are some things that are keeping entrepreneurs and business owners from making sales? I know you hit on this a little bit, but let's dig deeper into that.
Yeah, that's a real open question. You got to know who your customer is. Maybe what product you're bringing to the forefront, right? That's really what it comes down to. So for example, like I'm in the real estate realm and we focus on apartments and multifamilies, and I'm the deal guy. Like they call me the apartment guy. Okay. So I get off market deals and so forth. So what I need to do is I need to understand who my clients are, first of all. But I also tell my clients too, is that I don't need them. They need me more than I need them. So a lot of people say you're going to lose customers that way. Yes, I'll lose 80% of them, but all I need is 20% of the ones that are going to take action.
Yeah.
I'm not here to make friends, man. I'm here to make allies. In the entrepreneurial world, we're allies. Friends, it's like that it's analogy. Have you heard that bucket of crabs? Have you heard that analogy before?
Yeah.
Friends and family, man. As much as we say friends and family first, friends and family are the first ones to take out our knees, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's leechers in the families and friends, and there's reachers. So hence why It's all about the allies. And so what is critical is, first, is you need to understand which market you want to be in, and you got to understand why you want to be in that market. There's a great book by Simon Sinek saying start with why.
Yep. Awesome guy. His TED talk was amazing.
Yeah. So you have to listen to, like, your listeners have to listen. Start with why. Great example is Apple. Apple didn't go out and saying, "Oh, we have a computer that has all this other stuff." They said that we want to be doing the way they came out, or even like, I'm reading the words here. So there was a company. There's a company that came out of Singapore, and they basically, when they first marketed their product for an MP3 player, they basically said 5 point whatever it was gigs or whatever in for memory, and you can put music on there. Steve Jobs comes out, it's the same freaking box, and says, here's a box that we can put 1,000 songs in your back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing, but understanding they wanted the songs, not storage. And they played off of that. So you really have to be dialed into what your customers want, one. But two is your customers aren't going to buy into anything unless you don't believe in it yourself. How many times do you see that salesperson walk around with a box of knives or whatever it is, and you just know they're there. They're not loving it. It's for them, it's just another job. Whereas you have the next guy, and it's like he's making love to these knives because this is like the best knife. People don't buy the knives. They're buying into his belief because he believes in them so much.
Yeah.
Marketing, operations, that's all going to be on knowledge. It's all going to be on the skeleton diagrams of, you do your direct marketing campaign, you do then the lead generation, you do your click funnels, and you go through all that. With sales, it's so driven by emotion. People are driven by what they want, not by what they need.
Mm-hmm.
And sales is 99.9% passion. 99% passion. So that's what's key. And like I said, I mean, when it comes to sales, I just go nuts on it because I just love the fundamental ideas behind it. And some of your listeners are like, but yeah, what's the process? What's the process? The process is get in front of your customer and listen to them. Ask them what's important to them.
Yeah.
Ask them what's important.
For whatever reason, one of the things that you mentioned, it reminded me of when you was talking about passion, right? It reminded me of Chris Farley, right? And I'm saying that because it just about every skit that he did or every movie that you did, you can just see the energy coming from Chris Farley. Yeah, I know for a bunch of you guys in the class, if you guys are too young to remember Chris Farley, definitely YouTube Chris Farley. Funny dude, hilarious dude, right? I think the one that really put him over the top was that one skit he did on Saturday Night Live where he came in as a salesman and it was just a ball of energy, right? It was just amazing, right? I would have brought from Chris Farley, even though he was overweight. I would have brought from Chris Farley because of the fact that he was so energetic, and you can see, like, even though a lot of stuff he was saying, man, I live in a van down by the river. It's awesome. It's awesome. Man, if you living down by the river in a van, but you say that these knives is awesome, and you hit me with all of this, energy and passion. Hey, how much is it? I mean, it's man, I gotta say, you really hitting on something right now.
It comes down to our human approach is we all want things that we can't have. So what happens is you passionate about something, and someone wants that passion, but they don't have it yet.
Yeah.
And we chase things we can have. And the third thing is that we value things that we pay for. I can ask you this, man, like, how many times have you noticed you give out free product and how many people actually show up? Probably not a lot. You get them to pay for it, they show up. I tell people, if my gym was charging $50,000 a month for a gym membership, everybody would have six-pack abs. And you would only have maybe 2 people that go there, but they'd be ripped, versus having 50,000 people spending $1 and not showing up.
Are you tired of spending hours trying to create a sales funnel that actually converts the sales? Well, say goodbye to the headaches and hello to drop funnels. Their platform makes it easy to create professional, high converted sales funnels with just a few clicks. And the best part, it's so intuitive, even a 3-year-old could use it. Not that we recommend you getting a 3-year-old to run your business. So why wait? Give drop funnels a try and watch your sales soar to new heights. Check it out at our resources page at genesisprojectpodcast.com/resources.
In the beginning, I was having a tad bit of issue with that, and talking to many people similar to you when it came to sales, it was like, yeah, the free stuff, yeah, that gets them in the door, but they don't put value into it because it's free. Now you give away like a checklist to charge $10 for it, right? That same checklist that you was giving away for free, you charge $10 for it. People will buy that like gangbusters, you know. And at first, I'm like, I hear you, but I don't think that's true. And then once I really put it to work, it was like, well, I was completely wrong on this.
Again, it's our own mindset, right? And again, it comes down from confidence. When people give stuff a lot for free, it's our sometimes our own confidence saying it's not worth anything. And so what I used to happen to me a lot is I used to go and tell people, oh yeah, give me a call, I'll help you with information or whatever. And what ended up happening was I became everyone's, like, my business was suffering because I was giving out too much. Now, if someone wants to get me on the phone for 1 hour to go through their business on the sales side, it's $300 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It's $300 an hour. And I tell people, I said, I have no choice because I'm just so swamped.
Mm-hmm.
But you go for that 1 hour, you got my undivided attention.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can you just give me a deal? No. Why would giving a deal? That's basically telling I'm giving my deal on myself.
Mm-hmm.
You're lucky that price isn't $5 an hour.
Yeah. I have a short story for you. So when I got into the IT field, right? As soon as you get the IT field, you become everybody's IT guy, right? Okay, that's fine, whatever. I get it. It wasn't until I started charging people money. It was like, oh, well, I can take this down the street to so-and-so to do it. Okay, well, if that's the case, go ahead and take it to them. Because look, you got to understand, at this point, I'm an expert in this field, right? Put in more than 10 years in the field. You're not going to have me fix some, for example, you're not going to have me fix a computer with a virus on it for just $50. No. There's plenty of other things I could be doing right now with my time than spending it on this $50 computer for a virus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want me to fix it, I'm going to charge you, let's say, $300. Oh, well, I can take it to Best Buy. Okay, well, take it to Best Buy then.
Yeah, have a nice day.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
You for real? You're not going to give me no deal? Hey, listen, I already told you. I went to school for this. Your person down the street probably just doing this just on the side. They probably didn't go to school for this. I literally have certificates and degrees in this. Why would I cheapen myself? I mean, and then once I started putting that out, yeah, of course I lost a lot of friends and family to sales with that, but I've gained more customers doing that than I did losing customers.
Well, there's a difference between this level of sales that you have and a difference in profitability. If you would have continued with offering this not-for-profit service, that's what it is. It's not for profit.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're like giving people a deal here and there, I mean, versus, hey, you're running a business. And there's a difference now between, and that's what I tell people, this is business. Like I'll tell people in my family, if I use you, I'm going to pay you, I'm going to invoice you. But you're also, if you use me, I'm going to send you a full invoice.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, I keep it separate. And if you have to walk. I'm not going to argue with you. They're like, what, you would do that? Yeah, I would.
There's no love lost.
It's business. It's business. And it's incredible. And that's the thing. You got to, again, it comes down to you're the asset. You're the prize. Yeah. If I'm investing $1 million on my mindset, like, and I've already invested close to maybe $150,000 on coaching and mentoring and that kind of stuff. If I give shit out for free, I mean, not only are they getting me to help them out, but they're also getting all of that from their mentors. One of my mentors is trained directly from Tony Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing a complete disservice to the whole system.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, if it's free, they're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me ask you this, because we're coming close to the end here. I want to know, how do you find balance between home and running your business?
Yeah. The truth is, someone has a better chance of finding a polka dot colored rainbow unicorn than finding balance. The reality is there's no such thing as balance. What it comes down to managing priorities. Manage your priorities. So if your priorities are family, then you got to manage them as a priority. If it's about making money, you got to manage that. So what's the best way of doing that? I live out of a calendar. Everything goes in my calendar. Everything. It's like completely. So I know, and I time batch everything. Tim Ferriss talks about time batching and the 4-hour work week. And then what I do is what a lot of people don't do is they don't do an audit on themselves. So what I recognize, what I tell people, and especially your younger viewership, is what they need to be doing is they need to take 2 full weeks and they got to write down everything they're doing every 15-minute block. If they go to the bathroom, they've gone to the bathroom for 15 minutes. Just have more Metamucil. I don't know. But like, you gotta an audit with that. And after 2 weeks, you look at it and then you realize how much time you're wasting. Because I do an exercise with a lot of my mentees, all my mentees that come into my programs. And through my mastermind that I'm with, it's called the Council. And what we do is I get everybody to take a string that's about, let's just say about 10 inches long, for example, okay? And what I get them to do is saying, this is your life right here. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to cut 2 inches off that 10, because we say by 80, you're going to be dead anyways, okay? I want you to cut whatever your age is. So let's just say you're around 40 years old. You're going to cut it at the 4. So you're left with 4. Okay. At what age do you want to retire by or stop working for? I want to stop working at 60. So take another couple inches off. Then I got this much space. Okay. Let's cut off a third of that, because you're going to spend 33% of your remaining life sleeping. Cut that off. And then let's cut off another inch, because studies have shown through your lifetime, you're going to be spending 1.5 years on social media doing nothing else. You cut that off. You got this much. All you have is this for time. So it comes down to compression of time. No one has time. There's an abundance of money out there. There's abundance of deals. There's abundance of everything. There's no abundance of time. So to answer your question, how do you find that balance? There isn't one. So what you have to do is you have to manage those priorities.
Okay. As a entrepreneur yourself, what is the biggest mistake you've made?
The biggest mistake I made
As an entrepreneur.
The biggest mistake I made was it wasn't really a mistake. It was my ego. My ego is the thing that's probably held me back the most. And I'll call it I guess we can call it that mistake, because my ego held me back. My ego to win and become needy at certain times early on in my journey. My ego, and that gets closer to, I refused to get mentors and get coaching and investing in my mindset, because I thought that was all woo-woo BS. Okay. Until I made that switch and I said, what? Let's just take a back step here and let's focus on your mindset. And it was like Pandora's box opened up right away. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill talks about like Secrets of the Millionaire Mindset. We talk about Grant Cardone. I mean, it's mindset. Like everybody's talking. Warren Buffett spends 16 hours a day reading. I mean, these are people that focus on their mindset. Jeff Bezos, same thing. Like Elon Musk. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. And the difference between someone that's doing very well in life to someone that's not is someone that's not investing in themselves. So my biggest mistake was my my biggest holdback was my ego, but my biggest mistake was not into getting that coaching, mentorship, and focusing on mindset.
You mentioned Grant Cardone, and I know the guy, seen him around. I follow him. I had the opportunity to get to know him on a more personal level just from the TV show that he did, The Undercover Billionaire,
Yeah.
right? Watched the first season, loved it. Seeing that he was on there, I was like, oh, I got to watch this. Even more so now, right? Not just because of Grant Cardone, but also because of the other entrepreneurs or the billionaires that was on the show with Grant Cardone. And I was able to understand his psyche and everything like that, right? And to a lot of people, that type of mentality could turn people off, right? But then again, you got those people who understands it, who could connect with that psyche and just go balls to the wall with it, right? And one of the things that I'm just amazed at when it comes to Greg Cardone is that his heart, his commitment, his mindset, and his tenacity of hitting everything he sets his mind on. And that's the things that I've learned from him watching him on Undercover Billionaire. So for those of you in the class, watch Undercover Billionaire. I'm kind of anxious and waiting for Marcus Lamone to come out with his show again, The Prophet, because that was one of my favorite shows. But yeah, totally.
Yeah, and that's the thing. What you talk about atomic habits. There's another great book called The Slight Edge by Olson, and then there's Hardy that came up with the compound effect. And the reality is, to be destined for greatness, you have to be consistently consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a philosopher out of the UK, Great Britain, Botton, I think was his name, and said it best is that if you're not embarrassed by the person you were 12 months ago, then you haven't learned a thing.
True. Yeah, I would definitely say true. Yeah, I think it's a lot more. I agree. You said something earlier that made me think back on how I was before, right? And now I make it part of my ritual to be reflective, right? Let me reflect on what I used to be and compare that to where I am now. If there's a huge difference, then damn it, I'm doing something right. If there's not a difference, I need to work on that more than. You know what I'm saying? So at times I get upset with myself, and my wife is she's a great witness to this. At times I get upset with myself because if there was an issue that I had some time ago, right? I put certain things in place for me to attack that problem, to overcome that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have that same issue now, I'm upset. You know what I mean? Because I've put in these processes, these policies, and things of that nature, and that means I haven't overcame that problem yet. So now I have to go back to the drawing board and figure it out, right? And one of those things, if I could be transparent and candid, is time management. I'm also I'm living by my calendar now, right? So there's times where I put everything in my calendar, and there's times that my wife and I, we have conversations, right? Where there's certain things in my calendar requires more time, right? And my mind is like, yeah, you're right. It does require more time, but I also need to do these things too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I definitely understand where you're coming from. Everything that you're saying, I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that.
There's a term I believe in. One of my mentors taught me a phrase: freedom through constraint. Freedom through constraint. And what we've had to do is time management is something that I've struggled with. I'm not a detail-oriented person. As you can see, I mean, I'm a maverick. I just go and I shoot to kill. I just look at that and boom, that's it, right? And so I struggled with time management forever. And it wasn't until getting the calendar, really focusing on that and learning to say no to things was very, very powerful. As a salesperson, you want to say yes to everything. And now what's also happened too is, because of knowing what my time is worth, and I don't do this from an egotistical way by no means, it's just how I have to organize my day.
Mm-hmm.
If a task is going to cost me, my time is worth at least $250 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And how I have that metric is based on the level of sales I have, because for every hour work, I know what I make. I mean, I'm at $84 million, right, in sales. And $250 is just being conservative. So if that is my skill set and I can leverage that, why would I go and do something that's a $5 an hour job? Why not hire someone and stop being so cheap? Why don't I go hire someone to do that? Why don't I hire someone to do a $200 job, an hour job, so I can continue doing a $250 per hour job? Again, it's our mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's our mindset. And I've come to realize that the more people, so I've reached a standpoint where I need to hire junior salespeople, because initially I was like, oh, that's going to take out of the well. My mindset wasn't there. But now it's like, if I have 4 of me, I can go 16 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll tell one thing I'll tell for people thinking about sales, and ultimately sales is what revenue. It's that one revenue generation for any company as an entrepreneur. Small business doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of emphasis on a lot of small business owners are so focused on controlling their spend and keeping their spend low, and they're not focused on increasing revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, you're going to hit a level where there's not much more you can decrease on the spend, but the revenue increase is limitless. So just focus on generating revenue. That should be the only thing. Focus on revenue. Focus on revenue. Focus on revenue. Don't worry about the spend. You'll figure out the spend later.
Okay, let me ask you this. What is something personal that you want the class to know about you that cannot be found on Google or Wikipedia?
Okay. There's a lot, actually. What is
Okay.
something you want the class to know about you that can't be? Yeah, no, there's I have a lot. I don't even know where to start. This is going to be one that's going to shock you. I've killed 7 people.
Okay. Okay.
And in my previous life before sales, it was my darkest, one of my darkest times. Like, that's life, right? It's like the hero's journey. You go through these valleys, and some are going to be lower. I used to work in the ICU as a critical care respiratory therapist. And what we did was we used to be in charge of life support. And essentially we did the dirty work for the Grim Reaper. When a decision was made that someone's life was over, they were brain dead or whatever it was, although the family made the decision, I was the one that would go in and turn off the breathing machines and witness their last breaths in front of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm going to try not to get emotional here, but I mean, I've turned off life support on a 7-year-old child before. I've had a mother slap me and yell at me saying I killed their child, although it wasn't my decision. I've had fathers threaten my life. I've had fathers spit in my face. I've had to walk to my vehicle with security because of that. And so so my count was 7, not something, it was my job. The 8th person that I killed was my old self.
Mm-hmm.
And I came from that Genesis moment, or the 7-2 moment, where I am today.
I think it's important for us to kill ourselves every so often, because once we kill ourselves, we are then set free to reinvent ourselves.
Amen, man. It's like burn the ships, right?
Yes. Yes, indeed. All right. So, last question I want to leave you with. What is the one takeaway that you want the class to leave this lesson with?
Go deep and hard with your mindset. That's it. Read. get in rooms with mindset. I mean, one of the biggest things I'll say to everybody, I mean, I got so much. I even have a YouTube video talking about a millionaire morning routine and this kind of stuff. Let me see if I have it here. If I don't have it here, this is the best investment for any. It's called a gratitude journal. It's 5 minutes a day journal. You can get this on Amazon. It'll cost you $4.99. This thing will make you millions. It's a gratitude journal. It sounds so woo again, but that was one of my coaches told me because I was struggling. As soon as I did this, the floodgates opened, my man. So I practice my affirmations. I practice affirmations. One of my affirmations, I wake up in the morning, I meditate, I read every day. And one of my affirmations is I'm a money magnet. Guess what? The universe showers with me every day.
Money.
And abundance. And my old relationship with money was of greed and felt like I was entitled. And now it's like, I love money, but I love money not in terms of a greed or currency. Money is the most abundant commodity in the world. There's more money in the commodity aspect than there is of oil. So, and in the book by R.J. Ecker in Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, a lot of people, I grew up, my parents came from East Africa. Money was always scarce. We can't afford it. We can't do this. Do you think money grows on trees? Like the whole thing. So our subconscious mind starts already repelling money. We push it away because we start telling ourselves it's too expensive. So instead of saying it's too expensive and pulling it forward, we're pushing it further. So the takeaway I want the class is start putting in affirmations.
Love it. Love it. All right. So I think you've done a awesome job teaching this lesson on sales today. And not only did we get sales, but we got mindset over everything, right? So with that being said, I want you to give a shout out to everything that you got going on right now. Where can the class find you? If somebody wanted to reach out to you, shoot them all of that information.
Sure. So on Facebook, it's at Mark Smith. You can find me on Instagram at 72 Mindset Investor. So 72 Mindset Investor. And then on YouTube, you can go on YouTube and look for the 72 Mindset Investor. So 7-2 Mindset Investor. My podcast, the 72 Mindset Investor.
The 72 Mindset Investor on everything.
Everything.
Love it. Love it. Again, I appreciate you, brother, for coming out to the show. I thoroughly loved everything that you talked about today, and I've definitely learned a lot too. So again, I appreciate you, sir. To the class, you pretty much heard all of this knowledge, all the gems that he dropped on you. Yes, we learned about sales. We've learned more about your mindset and how important it is for you to have a good mindset and some things that you could do to start developing your mindset. So with all of that being said, what I like to say at this time, make sure you go and subscribe to this episode, rate and review this episode. Go check out everything that guest professor Mark got going on. And as always, in everything that we do, make sure you chase after it with violent action. Class has concluded, and I will see you guys in the next one. About 15 years ago, I hated where I was at, and I knew that meant for more greatness. I wanted to start a business, and I asked my friends and family, how do I start a business? 90% of them never started a business before, and the 10% that didn't remember what they did. So I went on and earned my bruises from the School of Hard Knocks. My inspiration for the School of Hard Knocks and the courses that I've created was to reach people that felt the same way that I felt way back when. Like I was destined for more. The purpose of the Genesis Project podcast was to move those same people towards that greatness with the guest professor that comes to the show and learn from their mistakes. This is a call to action to those who are searching for greatness. Join the School of Hard Knocks by commenting, sharing, subscribing, and get this message out to those searching for greatness. Click on the links in the description to get more information. And everything you do, everything that you chase after with violent action. I'll see you in the hallway.